Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. There was an elderly man on Roosevelt Island many, many years ago that always introduced and started a conversation that way. And I was always very impressed. His name was Al Weinstein.
Right.
And he fought wholeheartedly and passionately for the tramp. And when he passed away, I took on that mantle, and I also like to think that I took on some of his graciousness, because he was an incredibly gracious man also. I have been a part of RIRA since 1991. I have served on committees, and I have created some of the things that you now enjoy on Roosevelt Island. I was one of the people who created the Cherry Blossom Festival. I created the egg hunt. I started the hands-only CPR, which we were able to take to a state level. And now every child in graduating from New York City and state is required to learn hands-only CPR. So we are now producing millions of people a year that know how to save a life, which I think is so empowering to young people. What I would like to do is to infect you all with my passion of Roosevelt Island. And I would like to ask you all, or challenge you all, to bring your passion to this community so that we can collectively make it the best neighborhood in New York. And I think we can all do that if we all chip in and bring our gifts and our passions to this community. And I look forward to working with all of you and to collaborate with you. I'm involved in other organizations on the island that I'm glad to say participate and collaborate with RIRA and projects. And I would like to continue to see that happen, and I would like to continue to see the growth of people getting engaged and involved in our community.
Questions for Lynn?
I have a question.
You bet.
Hey, Lynn. How about if you tell us about some of your initiatives you'd like to, think about, as when you become RIRA president in the next term? Let's hear what you're thinking about.
So in terms of some of the initiatives that I'd like to see happen, there are some things that I think you've all mentioned tonight that are things that we need to see corrected, and that we need to see a collaboration and a conversation with RIRA to make them happen. I think that that should be a priority for us, that we definitely engage them in the conversations about what we as a community want to prioritize. And what I'd like the Common Council and all of you to do is to bring us what are your main issues, so that we can set an agenda and a priority that we can take forward for next year and the following year, and that we can have a way of gauging ourselves, have we done what we wanted to do successfully?
Could you be a little more granular, Lynn, like how exactly you plan to engage with these kinds of conversations? Like, do you plan to go to all the RIAC open meetings? Do you plan to meet with Susan Rosenthal and her colleagues on a regular basis? Could you be a little more specific?
Sure, thanks for asking. Yeah, that's a great question, Janet. One of the things that I have currently been doing is I attend most of their RIAC meetings to find out what's on their agenda and what they're currently prioritizing. I am a member of Community Board 8, representing Roosevelt Island. I have been taking Roosevelt Island issues to Community Board 8 in a way of doing some check and balance with what is happening on Roosevelt Island. For example, the water issue. We were able to get Community Board 8 and the elected officials to weigh in on that issue. And these are the things that, in terms of collaboration, I intend to do going forward. We've done some surveys in the community to get an idea of what people want to happen, but you as the representative of your building need to reach into your building, start talking to people in your building and finding out what are the things that they would like to see happen. I was sitting here writing down some of the issues that people brought up. Traffic issues and transit issues. Those have been consistent issues over the years, and we need diligence to keep following up and make sure that we get heard about those problems.
My concern is the empty stores, and I know RIRA can't do a thing about it. Is there any way legally or whatever, we can put some pressure on Hudson related to lower the rent or do something? We've got to get those stores filled.
I totally
And
agree
we
with
do
you.
need the hardware store desperately, and the thrift shop. I mean, these are things that were needed for people on the island. And you just can't do, we can't stay like this. So what legal thing can we do to put pressure on Hudson related?
So one of the things that I would like to address, because one of the problems with retailers coming in is foot traffic and traffic to the organizations that want to come in here. One of the things that's not commonly known to people in the community is that the volume or the amount of people living on Roosevelt Island, even though we've had new construction, the actual amount of people has gone down.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is of great concern to me, and I think that that's an issue that needs to be addressed, because it's almost counterintuitive. And so that is a part of why we're not being able to support some of these businesses that wanna come in. So it's addressing some of these
So, but if
things.
they lower the rent real low, isn't there some way we can, these stores are important to the community?
So there were conversations when they took away the thrift shop in terms of how can we fill that need, because the population that was most disserved by that were the people who had moderate and lower incomes, because that was one of the places where they could find things on the island that were of, good products that people didn't need anymore. And it was of value to the community, and it is something that needs to be addressed going forward, absolutely.
Was there another question? Yes. Oh, sorry. The lady there.
Sorry.
Yes. And then you have one over there and one here.
Yes,
There's
so
one here.
I'm new, as you know, I'm new to the island, and as a newcomer to the island, I've walked around the whole thing. And I've noticed that the south end is beautiful, it's gorgeous. The other end, Lighthouse End, is really not. It needs work. Is there anything in?
So unfortunately, part of the problem with Lighthouse Park is that it is still in a floodplain, and that needs to be remediated first before anything else can be done there. It is something that's up discussion, has been a topic, and that's a piece where we need to do due diligence and hold RIRA accountable for making sure that they do the necessary repairs and remediation to that area so that it then can be brought up and beautified. And one of the biggest complaints that I had recently is our most recently redone park was South Point Park. A lot of community involvement went into that. The community spoke very loudly that they wanted that to be a wild area, that they wanted that to be one of the few remaining places in New York where there was actually lots of trees and where it was kind of maybe a little unkept. And that has not been how the progressive RIOC presidencies have maintained it. And they wanted to kind of what I'll call Disneyfy that park. And the community spoke loudly against that. And the biggest complaint we had was, why are you redoing the most recently done park when Lighthouse Park needs to be redone, where Blackwell Park needs to be redone, where these other spaces and areas in the community need to be stepped up to and redone. And we were able to get them away from that focus on South Point Park and actually address some of these other parks.
Which one is South Point Park? Is that
That's
the
the
area where
Between, that's the part between Fort Freedoms and Cornell.
Yeah, that's a nice area. It's
Yes.
quite foresty, but I know what you mean. It's a bit manicured.
Yeah, it needs to be done. Yes, yes.
It was original.
Hi, I have a question where you talk about if you bring in concerns, where do you bring them to? I mean, is there an email is there town halls? There's no communication. Only reason I knew about this meeting because there was a paper in my lobby. Other than that, there's no real communication.
So that's one of the things that we want to work toward in terms of communicating with the community. The RIRA has met the first Wednesday of every month. We will continue to do that. That's been a staple thing since I've been on RIRA for the last almost 30 years.
Except for holidays.
Except for holidays. So we intend to keep that. So we meet at Good Shepherd. As far as I know, we will continue to do that. And what we'd like to do is start setting our meetings and our agendas and get them posted around the island so that people can know when our meetings are and what topics will be coming up in those meetings. And that's it. Yes. And it, one of the other things that I plan on focusing on too is we have a constitution and we have bylaws, and our preamble was, we the residents of Roosevelt Island come from diverse backgrounds and have diverse interests and circumstances. We all want to live together in harmony based on mutual respect and voluntarily sharing certain responsibilities for our common good. We want to get more people involved. The more hands that are involved, the more work that gets done. And we want to start to help people understand what are little things and big things that they can do to contribute to the community. And that's one of the things that we want to make our big focus in the next 2 years. And everyone in the community is on RIRA. Everyone in the community can participate in the committees. And we want to, going forward, really encourage people to do that and to figure out how they can bring their gifts and their expertise into the community. And one of our main goals and reasons for existence is to help facilitate through the government entities and through the other entities on Roosevelt Island to facilitate the quality of life here. And that needs to be refocused within our organization so that we are doing things that do affect the quality of life here.
One question?
Yeah, just one small question. I've heard that Kohler Hospital might be for sale or that they might be closing at some point. Do we know what the plan for that whole?
So the answer to that is no, but what I do know is yes, you're correct. On a city list of properties that can be bought, Kohler Hospital is on that list. And one of the things that I would like to see happen in the next 2 years is a greater engagement with Kohler Hospital so that we can send out the message that they are as much a part of our community as the rest of our community, and we will fight for them and fight for them staying.
But do we know what they would, like, are they, I guess it could be sold and then they build up.
So the issue with Kohler Hospital that makes it unique and different from some of the other spaces on the island, it is not part of the Roosevelt Island Operating Corporation. It is a city-owned space. So there's limited things that RIRA has control over in that space and that we do other than through our elected officials in the city. And so what I've been trying to do is, I was recently, after approaching Gail Brewer, I was appointed to be on the Kohler board so that I will have a chance to have a better understanding of what's going on there and what may be happening. And my concerns are that the Kohler Hospital has decommissioned itself in certain levels and that it has not filled certain parts of the hospital. There are about 700 patients there, but their capacity is much greater. I'm concerned that they're underfilling it and what that's signaling. And so we're going to be asking these questions up front and out in the open. And if anything happens, we want to make sure that, again, we're not steamrolled into having something happen with that hospital. Because Roosevelt Island is one of the safest places for those people to live. And they've lived here for a lot of them for a majority of their lives. And I believe that we should stand up and support them.
Anyone else?
Well, you kind of answered it, but I was just wondering, in the past, RIRA's communications policy with the community has been lacking, has not been very good. So I'm just wondering how you intend to improve RIRA's communications to the community.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to ask the chairs to consider going forward, because I found that it's very helpful, in the way that RIRA meets the first Wednesday of every month, I'm gonna request that the chairs consider having a standard meeting night so that people can know that if they wanna go to the housing committee meeting, that that's maybe the second Tuesday of every month, or that we have some consistent times and places for meetings, so that that will give people a greater opportunity who are not on RIRA to attend the meetings. And
The
so,
committee meetings.
the committee meetings, correct.
Question, how would you explain the attendance of this meeting? We have a voting meeting, and I only see, well, we have a lot of candidates, we don't have people. I think what Rick is, to add to your point, the communication with the residents is broken somewhere.
Well, I have to say that from my personal experience in being at many of these meetings over the years, this is one of the best attended ones I've ever been at.
Does it?
So that's, to me, a little encouraging that we are reaching out better into the community. I've actually attended a candidate night where, other than the candidates, there were 3 people. So I believe that we are doing this better, but there's a lot of room for improvement. And that's what I'm gonna rely on all of you to help us get the word out, to talk to your neighbors, and to really get them engaged, and hopefully infect them with some of your passion about the community, and that will just start permeating our community and drive us forward.
Thank you.
So we'll have the first meeting